Hello. Are we live? Give me one sec. Yes, I believe we are live. Okay. So good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome again. Okay. जो लोग कल पहले लिस्ट में साथ थे, पहला वीडियो में देख रहे थे, जो हमने कहा जहाँ देखा था कि वेब होता क्या है, राइट? और मैंने कहा था कि आने वाले वीडियोस में हम लोग देखेंगे एक एक कंपोनेंट को डाइसेक्ट करके, ठीक है? ओके. सो लेट्स मूव दूसरे वाले पार्ट पे. तो आज का हमारा एजेंडा क्या रहने वाला है? बेसिकली हम क्या करने वाले हैं, जो पहले पहले कल का रिवाइज कर लेते हैं, एक बार रिकैप दे देते हैं कि व्हाट एक्चुअली वी हैव डिस्कस्ड सो फार. तो पहले मुझे बताओ कि आवाज आ रही है या नहीं. एम आई ऑडिबल? लेट मी ओपन द चैट एज वेल. कि आवाज आ रही है या नहीं. एम आई ऑडिबल और माई स्क्रीन इज विजिबल? जस्ट टू लेट मी नो. यस. थैंक यू समय. हाय समय. हाय. हाय शोहम. Okay. So now, what we have done so far, let's have a recap for this. We have done code with Dilip. Yes, hi, hi. Hi, Dilip. Can you please avoid Hindi and explain things in English? Yeah, I'll try to be in English as well, but I'll try to use some Hindi keyword as well, so that some student that is very comfortable in Hindi, they might understand that as well. Okay, I'm good. Dilip, I'm good. How are you? Okay, now let's start. First thing first, we have uh, taken a deep dive into a concept called what is web, right? We have done what is web. Any doubt in what is web? I'll just recap it once again, that when you click on some website, when you search some website, what happens next, right? So when you click on some website through routers, it goes to where? It goes to a server. Done. What server gives you? It's a request that goes, that comes what is called response. Okay. And how response comes, how response travels from server through router to your UI. I have discussed that also, that it comes into three file. What is the HTML file, CSS file, and JavaScript file, right? So I believe you will be understanding what is the role of HTML. I have covered that as well in the previous session, that HTML is just for the structure part, right? That means skeleton. When you are building something, right? For example, you are building a house. What do you require? You require foundation, you require structure of it, pillars, bricks, you require some component. And what are those component? Is bricks, cement, dust. So these component in HTML are different than that you call in a normal language. It calls element and tags, right? So what you discussed, what you learn in HTML is basically the structure part, and the structure that you learn is through tags and elements. There are multiple tags, right? Yes, Dilip. It's a hypertext markup language, but what you need to know, that what interviewer need to listen, what they expect from you is not hypertext markup language. They want to understand how deep, how easily can you get the understanding to me that what actually HTML is. So where the HTML you want to explain, so what is the role and what is the motive of those session that I am conducting is to give you the idea that how you respond to an interviewer, right? Because I am also an interviewer. I take interview on daily basis, so I understand what needs to say as the perspective of interviewer as well. And I have also given multiple interviews, so I also know what I have made mistake in my interviews and what should I avoid at that time. So results should be different, right? Uh, that kind of scenario, I'll explain what you need to speak and what kind of example you need to take to just put the perfect picture of that concept, right? So everybody understand that HTML is hypertext markup language, right? So hypertext markup language, that there is a term in that full form is markup. What do you understand by markup? Let us start from here. What do you understand by markup? And how it is a markup language, and what is the difference between markup language and programming language? And somebody asked that HTML is a programming language, so you directly say no, right? Do you know the logic behind it, how you are saying no, right? So markup language is something that is used to give the structure part. So the structure is given through text and element. What kind of text? Some are non-semantic, some are semantics. And what are semantics and what are non-semantics? The different story, right? If we are going to deep, this session will be going on 3-4 hour long, right? What I want to convey in that particular session is you understand the basic fundamental that you need to speak, and what is the topics and what are the keyword that you need to speak in the interview. That will show that okay, you got that particular concept grasp in you, right? So when interviewer asks what is HTML and what is use of it, you see that HTML is generally the known as hypertext markup language, but the major task of HTML is to give a structure or skeleton to a web page, right? So how you give the structure to the web page? Through text and element, right? So what are the texts and how much they are useful and how many type of the tags we have in HTML? So दो टाइप के HTML टैग्स होते हैं. पहला नॉन सिमेंटिक्स, second one is semantics. What are the semantic tags and what are non-semantic tags? Basically semantic tags, for example, if let me take a web page, this is consider you as a web page, consider it a web page. What are the part that we have? For example, this is navbar, this is sidebar, this is main, and for example this was a footer. Okay, so what I'm trying to say that for when they ask what is semantic tags, so there are few element and tags in HTML like headings, paragraphs, image, and many more type. You can call it a span, you can call it a BR tag, multi more tag. So or there is one famous tag that you usually use as div, right? Div means container. This is a division tag. Section is also there. So what I am going to talk about is when you understand SEO, search engine optimization. How many of you understand what is search engine optimization is? Let me check the comment section as well. बताओ भाई, क्या समझते हो? आपको पता है what is SEO? या एसईओ को भी छोड़ते हैं तो मैं नॉर्मल कॉमन सेंस की भाषा में समझाते हैं कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द सिमेंटिक्स इज. ओके, तो मैंने तुमसे कहा कि फॉर एग्जांपल एक तुम्हारे पास घर में तुम्हारे किचन होता है, सबके किचन है, ठीक है? तो व्हाट हैपेंस ना इन इंडियन किचन, देयर इज अ कंटेनर ऑफ फॉर एग्जांपल बॉर्नवीटा, द एम्प्टी बॉक्स that you use. There was a powder in some time few days back, now it is empty. What our mothers used to do, they put something else in this box and close it and put into the kitchen, right? So when you enter as a newbie, when you enter as a user into the kitchen, what do you see? The box of Bonvita. Then you don't know what is inside. What do you perceive? Okay, there is a box of Bonvita, and what do you perceive exactly? That there will be a Bonvita powder in it, right? You consider like this is a common sense. Now we are habitual that there will be no Bornvita powder in the box, but in their common language, what we perceive as a user is there is a box named as Bornvita. There will be a Bornvita in it, and it goes with everything in the same thing goes with website as well. When a browser parse the whole document of your index.html or whatever it is, so it understand few keywords. When there is a navbar, if I am putting the navbar into div, there is a general container. Can browser understand by just seeing the div that there will be a navbar in it? What do you think? Can browser understand by just seeing the div that there will be a navbar in it? Or forget about navbar. This is sidebar. Can I am also wrapping this sidebar into a div? Can browser or search engine optimization keyword can understand this that in this div there is a navbar, in this div there is a sidebar? No, they can't. What they consider is as a general code. When they parse the general code, then they just see the property and align it over the UI. So what happens? It triggers and it hampers our ranking, right? It hampers our search engine optimization. It hampers our visibility of a page. Then what do we do to prevent this? There are SEO friendly keywords that we use in general cases, but as a HTML developer, as a web developer, what you need to do? You need to use semantic tag. What are semantic tags? Semantic tags means that I'll be putting a label onto a certain container. I'll be having a separate container for salt, separate container for pulses, separate container for Bonvita in the kitchen. So when a user enters into a kitchen, he understands immediately that in this box this is Bonvita, in this box this is spice, this is pulses, this is salt. How we do that? We take semantic tag. Semantic tag means the tags which speaks about themselves on their own behalf, right? उन्हें बताने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है कि मेरे अंदर क्या होगा, वो अपने नाम से ही फेमस हैं, वो अपने नाम से ही अपने काम के बारे में जाने जाते हैं, right? If I'm saying what are those tags, first tag is nav in this website, nav. So if I'm wrapping some code into the nav, what do you perceive? When I'm wrapping into a some code into a nav tag, what do you perceive as a user, or what do you perceive as a browser? What will be in it? Bornvita? No, there will be a nav bar in it. That means the tag speak itself that what is it all about. That means अगर nav है तो वो उसमें nav bar ही होगा. Same चीज, if there is a side tag, there is a side tag as well. If there is a side tag, that means there will be a sidebar or the side content will be there. And there is also one more tag that comes under semantic is main tag. If there is a main tag, that means there will be the main content that will be hovering around, that will be wrapping around in this main tag, right? Perfect. And at last there will be a footer. So if any developer what do you think, can any developer put main tag or main content into a footer? No. कोई भी डेवलपर फुटर में मेन का कंटेंट क्यों डालेगा? दैट मीन्स हमने कुछ ऐसे टैग्स बना दिए हैं जो अपने नाम से ही फेमस हैं कि वो क्या करते हैं. लाइक नेव बार क्या करता है, फुटर क्या करता है, मेन कंटेंट क्या करता है, साइड क्या करता है, सेक्शन क्या करता है, राइट? Understood. What are those semantics? So sometimes what they ask in interview is what is semantics and how they help in SEO. So when browser mount your website, it knows when they parse, it is very easier to parse your document like this is navbar, this is home, this is main, this is footer, this is a site, and done. Browser doesn't need to understand this is div के अंदर देखेंगे this is nav, oh this is navbar, this is li, that means it is navbar. No, it doesn't work like that, right? So by their name itself, they got the meaning that what they are doing. So that's how you explain a semantics in HTML. If you are able to explain, if you are able to use those keywords in front of interviewer, that means you are going into a good direction. That means next question will be there. right? What that happens now, that when you want to maneuver an interview around what you want, is only way you explain. When you explain a certain topic in certain manner, when you highlight some keywords, that interviewer are forced to ask question on that keyword itself, right? That's how you manipulate, that's how you maneuver your interview, that's how you run your interview. In There are two parties that sit into interview. This is party one, this is party two. This is interviewer, this is interview. Kind of a candidate होता है, एक interviewer होता है. So what happens now in early 5 minutes? What happens? We are asking your intro, we are trying to create a pressure situation for you. Now it it's kind of make or break situation in those 5 minutes. There will be two cases. I'll take the command of the interview, first case. But in those 5 minutes, if you are able to maneuver your interview around certain keyword, you highlight your introduction that I am proficient in this. So when kind of interviewer are bound to ask those questions that you are already prepared about, right? So when you are introducing yourself, when you are saying, okay sir, my name is this, I'm proficient in React.js, I have done project in this where I have included this APIs and this authentication authorization, I have used this library, for example Redux library I have used, you have highlighted this keyword. So I as an interviewer is bound to ask that, okay, let's start with the project itself, explain me the Redux, what you have used and what are the benefits of those Redux library or Redux toolkit that you have used, and what are the outcomes that you suggest to use in the project. That means now you have the command, now you are in the driver's seat of the interview. That's how you take control of the interview. Okay, if you are able to control your interview, that means you are the driver. In early 5 minutes, early 7 minutes, you have to control that. If you are not able to, that means interviewer will be dominating the whole interview. He will be asking question from anywhere, and that's the most confusing time for the interview. He doesn't know what is coming next. But when you introduce yourself, when you set a tone in the starting 5 minutes, when you highlight certain topics, the interview revolves around only those concepts. I'm not asking that, right? Now let's move on to the our agenda, what we are about to discuss today. What we have discussed yesterday, I have explained you regarding the same. Now the most important agenda of today is to dissect JavaScript, right? What I told you in the yesterday's class, we will see what is JavaScript, what is do, and how it perform it action, how it manipulate the object, whatever it is, right? So first thing first, what is JavaScript and what it do to your web page? Any idea? Let me check comments. JS is a scripting language. Okay, what next? What is scripting language? Tell me. Also dynamic language. Okay, so if I wait browser paint UI through JS. Okay. Okay. So when somebody asks that what is JS, okay, so what today's agenda is, I'll give you the topics and the few keyword that you take the keyword and revolve the definition around it in the JavaScript, right? So first question in the fresher, they can ask, what do you understand about JavaScript? Give me a brief about the JavaScript. So JavaScript's definition or JavaScript's introduction revolves around three keywords. Okay, the first keyword is single thread, synchronous, dynamically typed. right? These are the, am I audible? These are the three keywords that you need to understand that while giving the definition to the interviewer. So what is single thread? There are three separate terms that comes together to form a definition about JavaScript, right? The first thing first, I'll explain what is single thread. So I'll take the example. For example, you are having two hands, right? So in general case, when I asked, okay, there are two boxes, kindly pick it up. So what you will do, you will pick from one end the one boxes and the other box from other hand, right? But if I say that, okay, you are only having one hand, okay, now pick two boxes. Can you do that? In general case, you can't. But you can, because you can only pick one boxes through one hand. That means that's how thread works. Thread means single thread means one task at a time, one request at a time, one process at a time, right? That's what single thread means. You have to explain that what single thread is, right? So then JavaScript is a single threaded language, right? That its process is single threaded, that it will only process one step or one task at a time. So this is kind of becoming a little confusing. Okay, so we are using a language in a broader way, right, in React.js, when this JavaScript is only able to perform one task at a time, while the other language like Java is by default coming with multi-thread, right? So now what is multi-thread? Multi-thread is that you can perform multiple tasks at a time. That means it can handle multiple requests at a time. But why JavaScript is so famous, that why JavaScript is coming into picture, kind of a new library in coming days, and every 7 days, 10 days, 1 month is a new library is coming in JavaScript. How? Because somehow we are able to perform multi-thread as well, right? That means if we are not able to perform multiple tasks at a time, how we are operating on JavaScript? Yes, we are able to perform multi-thread. We are able to do the task multi-thread label using workers. This is a separate task. What is a worker is just like, for example, I'm a keeper, right? One ball is coming towards me. I'm picking one ball. This is single threaded task. I can pick only one ball at a time. I'll drop it and I'll again be in the position to perform second operation. But what happens, there are a few fielders, there are a few persons around me. I'll just pick that ball and throw them behind. Okay, just so what I'll do as a kind of main thing, this, for example, this is main thread, and there are few people that is sitting behind to just do the task. These people and these entities known as workers. Those worker helps to make it from single threaded to multi-thread. How? That, for example, one task is coming, just throw it back, and one other worker will be performing a task. One more task is coming, it will pass through like this. So using workers, we are able to handle multiple requests at a time. There's a kind of separate when you understand a web into deep every sessions you attend, kind of whole connected theory. When you understand JavaScript, I'm just giving you the keyword that you need to use. And if somebody asks that why single threaded language is so popular, okay, so around 70 to 76% of backend is still being written in Java due to multi-thread and some other facility as well, but still the few some part is basically covered using Node.js and Express, right? There we are contributing as a JS developer in that backend development as well, right? So how? So due to any some properties that we are able to make from single thread to multi-thread, that means we are able to perform multiple tasks at a time. Now remember this term. Now second term, synchronous. What is synchronous? Tell me what you understand by synchronous. Synchronous means that task will be in a certain flow. Okay, so for example, they are reading from top to bottom now, as I discussed in yesterday's class, that document is being passed into a certain manner, that is from top to bottom. Okay, so when the top to bottom task is passed, a file is passed. So for example, this was the line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, line 4. So until unless this line is not being executed, this next line will not be coming into picture. This is what synchronous means. But but when you see, when you understand it in a deep manner, you will be seeing, okay, again, one more drawback, right? This is also being considered as a drawback that, okay, for example, if there is a crick watch, the best example is crick was that when Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli is batting, one has taken a run, it is being updated. So we cannot hold other UI component that, okay, until unless the run of Virat Kohli is not getting updated, you just being at halt, the blank screen will be there. No, we cannot do that. So ClickWatch also doesn't do it. So they show other part, they show the commentary, they show the UI. Then run is also being updated when the ICC server give them that they fetch the runs from ICC server, they update in real time. So that means somehow JavaScript was also able to do from synchronous task to shift its behavior to asynchronous. What is asynchronous means? So for example, there are files, there are file 1, this is file 2, this is file 3. I'm giving you each and every keyword just to give you the understanding that what you need to say when they ask in JavaScript. JavaScript not just a definition of a JavaScript as a scripting language and it is this and done. You will be rejected in the first question itself. Interview will be taking your interview for 50 minutes, but you are rejected because you don't know what our thread, you don't know what is sync and asynchronous, you don't know what is dynamically and loosely typed language. So for example, this is file 1, this is file 2, this is file 3. It is taking 1 second to download, it is taking 3 seconds to download, it is taking 2 seconds to download, right? So for example, synchronous task, what synchronous task will say, first 1 second will be downloaded, then we'll wait for 3 seconds to download the f2, then I'll move to the f3. But this will not be a kind of good procedure. So to optimize it, we are having a asynchronous nature of JavaScript as well. This is called async nature of JavaScript, using some keywords, using some async and await promises and callback. There are the multiple terms that we use to make our JavaScript from synchronous to asynchronous. So what asynchronous say that, for example, this is the file one, it taking 1 second. Okay, file 1 is taking 1 second. Until unless it is taking 1 second, I'll move on to the second one. So I'll take on the F2. Okay. So for example, if F2 is taking more time than this 2 second, so I'll just do not wait to it complete for 3 seconds that F2 will be downloaded. Till the time it is downloading, I'll shift to the F3. So now when you try to print the statement using set time or whatever you want to delay it. So what will be the output? First F1 will be printed, then F3 will be printed, then F2 will be printed. But in synchronous case, what will be F1, then it will wait for 3 seconds, then F2, then it will wait for 2 seconds, then F2, F3. This is how it will be in synchronous way. But when you want to use, when you want to optimize it, what will be the better way? That F1, then F3, then F2, based on the timing, based on the time they are taking to download it, right? Then comes dynamically third term, that is dynamically type. Dynamically type means you don't need to worry about the data types, you don't need to worry about what kind of, for example, in C++ and Java or other language, we have to define, for example, that okay, this is a string type, or when you're writing a name, it will be a string or character. When you're writing a number, it will be a number or float, decimal, whatever it is. But in this JavaScript, this is a flexibility that you just write the code, you just do, for example, a is equal to 5. So in the runtime, when they are going to execute, when they are going to kind of allocate the memory to the particular program, they'll just check dynamically that what is that, this is a number, this is a float, this is decimal, this is string, this is character, whatever this is, object, function, whatever, it will directly assign that property at the dynamically type at the runtime. You do not need to worry about the specification of the data types, what kind of data we are dealing. So this is kind of dynamically type, that we are going to check the type of the data and the property of the data at the runtime. So this is the basic definition. I'm not saying this is not a basic, this is kind of a advanced definition that you, when you start explaining it, that means interviewer will be understanding that okay, this guy got the deep knowledge about the JavaScript, even the definition part. Some student, what they do, even me as a beginner when I was in college back in 2018, what I used to do, okay, I only know the definition of two lines. This is JavaScript is scripting language, JavaScript programming language, which used to give the functionality in the web browser or website, right? So I don't even know if there was a JavaScript engine into the kind of browser. Apart from the HTML CSS parser, we have a JavaScript engine as well, right? So this is the first thing, the first question or first keyword, that few keyword that you need to use uh, in the interview to drive your definition in such a manner that interviewer will be impressed. Okay, this guy got the knowledge. Okay, now move on to the second topic that they ask about and how you going to respond to that particular topic. They ask, okay, for example, we are having a program, JavaScript program. How JavaScript run the program? How JavaScript execute a program? This is the basic question and mandatory one question for a fresher. I'm not talking about the senior level, because the student that are watching is not appearing for the senior level interview. I'm only talking about the student level or entry level of freshers that are just about to give interview, that are in the college looking for campus placements, right? So they ask in college interviews or senior, not senior level, fresher level interview, that how JavaScript execute a program. Okay, so for example, let's take a, this is browser, or you can call it this is JavaScript engine. That means engine runs the code. That means JavaScript engine execute all the things. So how JavaScript runs the code? For example, this is something code .js file. How, when the JavaScript engine receive a file, how they parse it, how they read it, and what they do. So actually, program doesn't run in a single time. That means as you receive the program, as JavaScript engine receive the program, it doesn't get executed at that moment itself. It takes time. It takes few processes. What are those processes? It's certainly divided into two processes and two parts. What are those parts? Let me just, first part, or you can call it a first phase, is memory allocation phase. Here what will be happening? Memory allocation. This is called code execution phase. Okay, and whatever the box they are created to process, this is called GEC, global code execution context. Every function, every program had its global execution context where they get performed, they get processed, and they drive a result, right? And this particular section, code execution phase, this particular section also known as thread of execution, TOE. This is also, sometimes they ask what is thread of execution, right? So this is the thread of execution, that code execution phase where the code execution will be there. This is the first phase and this is the second phase. Now, what happens in a first phase? That means whatever written in your program, it will be kind of variable, it can be a function, it can be object, array, whatever it is, it will be assigned a memory. That means it will be assigned a space. So when somebody is coming at your location to get your task done, you assign, okay, sit back, take a seat, then I'll pick your task and I'll execute it and I'll give you the result. That's how they do the performance of the task. So for example, this was a function, a is equal to 5. This is the first variable. Then b is equal to 5. Or let's assign this using let. This is where. And this is a function which is consoling something. And we are calling that function here. Okay. And we are printing the console A and console B. I'm just taking this particular example. So how now JavaScript will proceed this as a code or as an engine? First, as usual, you know what will happen from top to bottom, left to right. It will be start reading. It will be a perfect line. This is the top to bottom. First thing first, what happens? Memory allocation phase. That means everybody will get its space. Everybody gets its cabin to get it settled down. Then code execution will be started. So here till this part, no code execution will be there, and you will not be seeing anything on the console till this part. Now program runs, you hit run button or you can run the command node index.js, whatever it is, when you run a program in JavaScript. Then what happens? First line first, it is written. forget about this let for now. This is written a is equal to 5. Do they give a do they bothered about this 5? No. What they do, they just pick a and it will assign a space. So I'm not talking about what kind of space they assign. It depends completely on the variable, how you are declaring it. Let and const will be different, where is different. Then second line, b will be coming, b will be also getting status space. Okay, this is a space where value is be coming. Okay, now third line will be coming. What is third line? Third line is function. So now in this case of variable, what we are assigning is space where value will be coming in the next phase. We are assigning a container, but what function receive, traditional function receive, which usually get initialized using function keyword. What they receive, they come directly with its definition. They do not kind of take empty spaces, or later on part they don't get executed until unless you are not calling that function. They directly come and sit back here. That means whole function definition will be coming. Got it? But in case of anonymous function or arrow functions, these kind of function will be taking its separate space. So for example, let's define a, this is a const, this is arrow function. I'm not talking about the arrow function, but just take this is an arrow function. So when becomes arrow function, it gets initialized through a pointer. You take certain pointer to point toward to refer that function. So that pointer will be coming and it will be having a space like a normal variable. So when you are dealing with traditional function, it get the space within the definition. With its definition, it doesn't get the separate space. Whole function definition will be coming onto the memory allocation. But apart from the traditional function, when you are using anonymous function, arrow function, any other kind of function, it will be treated like a normal variable because you are using a certain variable or certain pointer to refer that function. But in the traditional function, what we are using just the function name to refer to invoke that function, right? For example, function sum is there. How you are invoking that function? Sum bracket, that means how you are invoking a function. Now you understand definition of function, invoking of a function, initializing of a function. Okay, so before you start with JavaScript in the coming videos or coming lectures, so you should know what exactly the function definition is, function calling is. Function definition, for example, it is written some logic part. This is kind of function definition we are written. So still we are not invoking that function. How you invoke a function? When you write function name and when you write parenthesis. When parenthesis is there, that means you have invoked the function. Then this particular logic that you have written in the sum will be getting executed, right? You can pass the parameter, whatever parameter and whatever argument they are taking, and you can use that to perform an operation. Perfect. So now all our program, all our variables and function got the definition. Perfect. Now the second phase will start, and now the real magic will be happening. That means code processing will be there. That means space is there, program is there. Now I'll execute it line by line. First thing first, a is equal to 5. That means now whatever space was there, it space will be covered with value. Now a is equal to 5 will be there. Instead of an empty space, there will be a is equal to 5. Then second line will be there. Here b is equal to 5. Okay, now empty space will be removed. Now what will be? In a space of empty, 5 will be there. Okay, now third line, tell me third line what will happen? Function definition will be assigned something? No. Until unless you are not calling that function, you are not invoking that function, they doesn't get bothered. So function definition will be there. Now it will jump onto the next line, one more function using variables. That means we are our arrow function, we are referring to a variable. It will be assigned a certain value that is called undefined. Okay, but in the variable there are certain cases. This is called, some processes called hoisting and temporal dead zone. I'll explain it in few minutes. So for example, it totally depends on the how you are initializing a variable, right? So function definition will not be getting bothered, it will not be getting executed, but how you execute a function when you call that function. So for example, this function call was there, this is the call. So when the function call will be there, they will start going on to the function. What is the line, what is the logic it is written? It is written what? Console.log, that means printing something, for example hello world. Now the function definition, the result that you are storing somewhere, that you're calling somewhere, will be called as hello world. Okay, so now when you console those three lines, that means console A, console B, and this function called, what it will be getting printed? 5 5 and hello world, right? Understood that how with JavaScript thread, that how JavaScript a global execution context will be taking memory, how it will be executing the code. But again, code is getting executed again whenever you find another function another function, it will be again creating its own separate space. When you finding another function, that function will again create its own space, its own GEC, that means global execution context. And once this program is getting finished, once the program is finished, what it will do, it will erase that particular space, it will come back to its parent. That means when the function will be executed, it will be executed in their separate space. When they return something, what is returning? Console.log, that means hello world. When the hello world will be in us, this execution context will be removed. And now what will be having? Global execution context. Then GEC. So when you check in the browser, when I in the next class, when I'll run the program for you, when I show you what is GEC, how it looks in real time. So this is a call stack will be there. For example, this is the empty call stack. When you run a program, one context will be coming into the call stack. This is named as GEC, global execution context. So when you arrive with a function, so this function execution context will be there in the call stack. So when this function will be getting executed, till the time this function will be remain on the top of the GEC, right? So when this function is completed, its execution, it is finished, it returns some value to me, then this function execution context will be removed, and what will remain? The global execution context again. That means this big ball apart, right? But how in the next question they ask that you have giving me the understanding, okay, how my code is getting executed, now I've understood. But when a variable is defined using certain manner, it give me different result. How many of you have faced this issue that when you assign a variable let a using let and const keyword in the consoling statement, it behaves in a certain manner. When you call it somewhere else and there, and memory get executed and memory get allocated in a different manner, or when you assigned a variable value using var keyword, right? Variable var keyword, it behaves in different manner. How many of you have faced this? Let me check the comment. uh, does anybody face this issue that okay, now it is behaving in a different manner and how it is happening? So if you have not faced this, try it sometimes, try it. Okay, so let me just show you that what happens exactly, then I'll come back to the this painting board, then I'll explain how it is happening in that way. Okay, let me open my VS code, then it will be clear to you. Let's get it started, then I'll okay. So what I was talking, that when you assign a value to a variable using different method of variable assigning, it behaves in a different way, right? So for example, now we are having a first we are writing a console dot log. This is the first program that you write in a JavaScript. Everybody write this. Okay, now how I run this program, I'll use this code run as well. Never used where. Yes, you should never use where, but there might be some cases that you need to use where. It doesn't totally depend on the choice, but what they ask as a standard that you use let and const, but do not use where, because where doesn't follow a comma split. ES6 it doesn't follow. It's just like you are having a cage, right? You are having a cage. When you learn scoping now, in the next video, tomorrow we'll learn scope chaining, lexical scoping, lexical environment, what is functional scope, what is global scope. We'll understand. Then then you will be able to understand what I'm talking today. That means cage. For example, you are having a cage to catch a bird. Okay, so other variable that is let and const is just like a bird. So in a cage of bird that you are about to catch, it will be holding a bird for sure. That means in certain rules and regulation, your bird will be following, your variable will be behaving in certain way. That is a standard operation protocol. SOPs will be followed by those let and const. But what is variable? Variable is an ant. That means cheating, right? Can you hold a cheaty or ant in a cage bird cage? No, you cannot, because it will be just slip out. That means it doesn't follow the rules and regulation. That's how it create conflict between developers, and it create the conflict in the code. For example, you have assigned a value using where in the top of the u keyword. When you are trying to change it, it is getting changed. When you're trying to print it, ऊपर वाला वैल्यू प्रिंट ही नहीं हो रहा, then you are changing it नीचे. तुम सोच रहे हो कि ओके ऊपर तो मैंने 100 लगाया था, नीचे 50 क्यों प्रिंट हो रहा है, right? This is how. But when you are defining certain value with certain procedure, it kept in such a manner that you receive what you are planning to receive. Okay, this is the console. Okay, how you are running it. Node practice.js. Okay, I need to cd YouTube. I need to go into that folder first. Now I'll run node practice.js. Okay, this is hello world is coming. Perfect. Now let's comment this. Now we are using a console statement. I'll use console statement here. I'll print 1. Okay, I'll define a using where first. A is equal to 10. What you are expecting that it will be there? What will be printed when I try to run it? Or let's make it interesting one. Now, what you are expecting? Give me a kind of expectation. Let me zoom it for sure. What you are expecting now? What can be printed? It's not a magic, just guess it. Okay, so in a common language, in a common sense, what do you see? This is the 10. I'm trying to print it. It will be printing 10. Okay, let's run it. It is printing 10. No magic. That's how it should behave. And what is difference? Okay, now the task value, yes, Akash is saying the value of A will be printed. Perfect. Now till this time there is no hidden agenda in this uh, statement. Now magic happens when you do this. Now tell me, now what will be printed? Still value of 10. What do you say? Value A is 10. We are printing it. Okay, now let's run it. It is printing undefined. How? Why it is printing undefined? Let me check. Cause saying error. No. How error can be there? I'm not doing any magic. I'm just showing you the output of the code. I'm just running it again. Okay, let's run it again. It is showing undefined. Perfect. Now the thing that you are talking about error. Let me show you. Now this is where na. Perfect. This is where. Now let's assign this A is equal to 10 using different method of variable assign. That means let. There are 3 methods: let, where, const. Okay, so I have used where. It is showing undefined. Now I'll be using let to define this variable. I have initialized the variable with value 10. Now I'm trying to print it way above the initialization. Now what do you think it will be there? Now tell me, still it should show undefined, right? Because in the previous case when I have used where, it is showing undefined. Now I am using let, it should show undefined. Okay, Parvez is saying error. That means JavaScript something complex. Abhi aap keh rahe the undefined, now error. Let's check. Okay, what it is showing? Reference error. It is not a syntactical error, it is a reference error. That means what is reference error saying? Cannot access a before initialization. What does that mean? Ki until unless you are not initializing with a value, sir, can we say that before JavaScript text landscape would be nothing? Not like that. We cannot say that. Yeah, we love JavaScript, but okay, so come to this program. Let's focus on this program now. Okay, it is saying cannot access a before initialization. That means you cannot print the value, you cannot take the value from me until unless you are not giving the value to me. But we are giving value here. How you are saying you cannot, you are not providing me value, how can I give you the value? Okay, now I am frustrated. I am using a second variable, third type of variable. I'll use it using const a is equal to 10. मैंने क्या किया, उसको दूसरे मेथड से डिफाइन कर दिया, कॉन्स्ट से डिफाइन कर दिया. नाउ लेट्स चेक, क्या अब ये एरर सॉल्व हो जाएगा? टेल मी, क्या अब ये एरर सॉल्व हो जाएगा मेरा? कि अब तो वैल्यू आ जानी चाहिए. तो इसने क्या किया, लेट का यूज कर रहे हो तो तुम वैल्यू प्रिंट नहीं कर सकते. नाउ व्हाट विल बी देयर? नाउ लेट्स रन इट. सिंपल वे टू फाइंड आउट. अगेन इट इज शोइंग रेफरेंस एरर. That again I am not able to access a before initializing. Now what I'll do, I'll just console it here, not here. Now I have commented this code. Now I'm using this bay after the initialization. That means where the value is here. Now I'm printing it here. Now run it. It is printing 10. Okay, now comment it out. Now let's check let wala value. Run it again. It is showing 10. That means somehow it is getting confused that when you are not able to assign value and when you are trying to access way before the initialization, it shows error. But in case of bear doesn't think in this box. Bear thinks outside the box. You cannot hold bear. Bear will be slip out from your any context, any kind of barrier, and it will be getting accessed anywhere you want. That means when we go back, what was happening in global execution, when you assign something with a bear, it take space first, memory allocation first. This code execution, the value printing will be second phase. What is happening in the first phase is memory allocation. So when you assign the variable value using where, it take a space named as undefined first. And when you assign a value, when you assign a variable, when you declare a value using let and const, it also get a space but in a restricted area. That means a separate box will be there. Here a let and const will be there. So you cannot access those boxes until unless you are not assigning a value. Whenever you are assigning, it will be coming onto the main accessible area. So when the where is getting assigned value first in first phase undefined. So when you trying to print, until unless this code is even getting started to execute, what will happen? Memory allocation. That means यहाँ पे उसने where देखा तो उसको क्या है, एक separate space मिल गया. पहले 10 नहीं मिलेगा. It will not be getting assigned 10. First in first phase what will get? It will get a undefined. That means without using, for example, now I am using this where from here to here. Let's comment this. So now we are trying to print a before the initialization. That means उसे नहीं पता है कि नीचे वैल्यू होगी भी या नहीं होगी. तो पहले क्या होता है, सारे प्रोग्राम को मेमोरी मिलती है. दैट मीन्स इस ए को भी मेमोरी मिल गई होगी. वो मेमोरी क्या होगी वेयर के केस में? अनडिफाइंड. सो नाउ it is having an output named as undefined. So when you're trying to print console, what is print? It print undefined. But in case of let and const, where they get stored, where they get memory in a separate space. So until unless you are not initializing it with a value, it will be kept in that box container. You will not be able to access them. So that particular box where you are not able to access them until unless you are initializing it, named as temporal dead zone. That means it will be kept dead till the time you are not giving them a value. It will be named as temporal dead zone. And the thing that you are doing, trying to print the value way above the initialization, that means this is the initialization of the variable, declaration of the variable, and you are using it here. That means till the time it doesn't know the value of a will be there below or not. Okay, this particular process, when memory will be allocated, every variable, every function will be get hoisted before. This process is known as hoisting in JavaScript. That means every declaration will be moved up to the top of the stack before the execution. That means first phase will be memory allocation, where all the variable will be moved up above the definition with their definition. Then undefined, undefined, latent const. In case of var, it will be undefined. In case of latent const, it will be in temporal dead zone. That's why when you try to print variable value before its initialization, it will be printing undefined. But when you're trying to print of the latent const, it will be saying that first initialize it, then I'll be able to print it. Right? That means it doesn't know that value of a will be there, because this a and b will be assigned a memory in a separate space. It doesn't include in GEC. It is a separate zone that is known as temporal dead zone. So in that dead zone, they will be dead, considered dead till the time value is not coming. At the moment they receive the value, they will be invoked again. It will be accessible in the main area. Got it? So I believe you are clear with what is JavaScript, what is synchronous, asynchronous, what is single thread, multi-thread, right? What is dynamically typed, and what is hosting, and what is temporal dead zone. In coming, yeah, that means in the next video, we'll understand closures, callbacks, async and await, and other type of things in JavaScript interview that can be asked. Today we have covered 4 topics, 5 topics. That means what is synchronous JavaScript, what is async means, what is single thread, multi-thread mean, what is JavaScript, what is semantic text, and why, pervasing why and when we use where. Where is not being suggested as a developer, and the ES6. I'll introduce to you ES6. What is ECMAScript? This is a kind of standard that they have written some rules and regulation where they restrict a developer to use where, because it creates conflict. For example, here it is variable 10. Now I am using variable a 30. Now I am trying to console it a. What will be printed here? Tell me. Run it. 30. But we have assigned a value a. So for example, I am written a value a before using a program. Now somehow it changed value a 30. So now I am trying to print this value. It is getting printed this value. It will creating a conflict na. But when you are using let, what is saying cannot redeclare. That means it provides certain SOPs that you cannot do outside this particular boundary. That means it will create a healthy space, a positive space for you to write the code. That's why they do not allow variable to be written in JavaScript code. Okay, I'll introduce you to the ECMAScript, don't worry. Okay, so I hope this session would be helping you in a certain manner to give the answer, how you answer a question. What is hosting? What is close? What is temporal dead zone? How program gets executed? What is thread of execution? What is memory allocation phase? Right? You can explain in certain way that they will be understanding. Okay, now this boy got the understanding. This girl got the understanding of the concept in deep manner. Okay. In tomorrow's class, we're understanding the callback, closures, and array function as well. Okay. So till the time we are meeting next. Take care. Bye bye, and thank you for being a lovely audience. Thank you, Parvez. Thank you.